In this presentation, we're going to look at needles. The needle, although seems very simple, has a number of complicated components, and we're going to take a look at those very quickly. This picture tells us all the bits and pieces that are involved with a sewing needle for an industrial sewing machine. So we'll start on this side. It's called the butt. There's a round part that fits up inside, and most sewing needles have this, and some of them have a flat here on them so that they fit in a very specific way. These ones do not, and it's called the shank. We have the shoulder, which is the tapered part that goes down into the blade or the shaft. The groove. Groove is essential to sewing. Without that groove, it won't work properly. The scarf or spot, and we use the term scarf here. We go into the eye, where the thread is mounted, and from the thread to the front is called the point, and most people call the very tip the point, but the tip itself is very different. It has some different configurations. So the tip of the needle is the very sharpest point of the needle. Just to show some of the various needles that we use here at Climate Technical Gear. Most people who are sewers are used to seeing the needles being very straight. This needle is in a very particular machine designed for a very particular purpose, and it is curved. And how well we can see that curve, and we can see that it's curved, but it still has all the essential parts. We have the butt, the shank, which, as I said, in this case, this has the flat, so it goes in a very particular way. It has the shaft, it has a groove, it has the scarf, eye, point, and a tip. This one again is a straight needle. It has all the same, but it doesn't have all the same parts, but it is for a particular purpose. It doesn't have an eye, it doesn't have a groove, but it still has a very firm purpose in the machine. This is the one that we're all used to. It is all the essential parts, and it is straight. It has all the designated pieces, and it is the one that we'll be looking at from here on. In the standard sewing needles, industrial needles, so we're going to have a look at different types of sewing points in the industrial sewing machine. There are various points for various purposes, and I'm just going to go through some of the major ones that we use here at Climate. This is what they call a normal point. Oops. The normal point is actually not sharp, although don't tell your fingers that because it won't believe you. The point is actually rounded. What we don't want to have happen is when you were sewing is for the needle to damage the weave of the fabric as it passes through. We want it to push those threads out of the way so that we can make a hole down through. If it was a sharp point, it would probably cut the threads, and then we'd end up with a great big hole, which we don't need. We go from there down to a light ball point, and we'd use a light ball point with a coarse weave. As we progress down in these, the ball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that we get into knits, heavy knits, very large yarns, then we need a fairly large ball point.